I want to talk about Give Love, Give Life, about prioritizing national health care insurance for the women and children of America. And whatever gets said here, in some way, is got to do coming back to that. Because, you know, sometimes I think we don't recognize ourselves, you know, and I think, to me that we live in a reality where we're surrounded by total chaos in the thing that goes on. It's total chaos. We can't make sense of it, you know, and we just get fed more chaos. And it's done and designed in such a way that it's never meant for us to make sense of it, because if we can't make, because in that way it can continue to feed off of us. In my reality, everything is about energy. Everything that's ever going to happen in this human dimension that we're in is about energy. All right? Human being, one way, spirit, energy, essence. But human being, and we have, so that our energy is in the being part of human. I mean, in reality, we're beings. We're beings. We're beings being human beings. All right? Because being just is. Being just is. Being just is. So we're human, but we're taking, this is like a temporary ride we're taking, right? This is our human ride. This is like an amusement park, horror amusement park, some kind of deranged thing. But it's almost like we're taking a human ride. We're born as being into human. We're going to be here for a while, and we'll go back to being. And it's what happens in the course of the human ride that says about the evolution of being. And this is what I think is going on. Right? So this is about the reality of being, and we're temporarily human. But while we're temporarily human, what we do with that power of being while we're temporarily human affects everything. All right, I'm going to start by reading some poems, and then we'll see where we end up. This is called Never Too Loudly. At times they were kind, they were polite in their sophistication, smiling but never too loudly, acting in a civilized manner, an illusion of gentleness, always fighting to get their way. While the people see, the people know, the people wait, the people say, the closing of your doors will never shut us out. The closing of your doors can only shut you in. We know the predator. We see them feed on us. We are aware to starve the beast is our destiny. The times they were kind, they were polite, but never honest. This is called Very Eyes. We see your technological society devour you before your very eyes. We hear your anguished cries, exalting greed through progress. While you seek material advances, the sound of flowers crying, the sound of flowers dying, carry messages through the wind trying to tell you about balance and your safety. But your minds are chained to your machines and the strings dangling from your puppeteer's hands, turning you, twisting you into forms and confusions beyond your control. Your mind for a job, your mind for a TV, your mind for a hairdryer, your mind for consumption. With your atom bombs, your material bombs, your drug bombs, your racial bombs, your class bombs, your sexist bombs, your ageist bombs, devastating your natural shelters, making you homeless on earth, chasing you into illusions, fooling you, making you pretend you can run away from the ravishing of your spirit. While the sound of flowers dying carry messages through the wind, trying to tell you about balance and your safety. This is called a dimension called loneliness. Trying to isolate us in a dimension called loneliness, leading us into the trap. Believe in their power, but not in ourselves, piling us with guilt, always taking the blame, greed chasing out the balance, trying to isolate us in a dimension called loneliness. Economic deities seizing power. Through illusions created, armies are justified. Class systems are democracy. God listens to warmongers' prayers. Tyranny is here, divide and conquer, trying to isolate us in a dimension called loneliness. Greed, a parent. Insecurity, the happiness companion. Genocide conceived in sophistication. Technologic material civilization, a rationalization, replacing a way to live. Trying to isolate us in a dimension called loneliness. We're human beings, and so whatever's happening to us in our individual as well as collective generational lives, this chaos that goes on, we need to recognize who we are, and we're human beings. See, I don't think we don't understand that anymore. And I think one of the purposes of technologic industrial civilization is to erase or suppress the memory of the human being from the human beings when they arrive in this reality. Suppress the memory, eliminate the memory of the human being, because the memory of the human being, all right, has a perception of reality that's entirely different. So anyway, as human beings, to recognize who we are, human, our bone, flesh, and blood, our DNA, we're made up of the metals, minerals, and liquids of the earth, or shapes of the earth. And we have being. All things of the earth are made up of the same DNA, so to speak. And all things of the earth have being, because our being comes from our relationship to the sun, sky, universe. I mean, literally, the sunlight is the seed that brings life to the water-bearing womb that is the earth. See, so our being is in relationship to that. Spirit, energy, human beings. See, so our relationship to the reality of power is in the reality of being a human being. Now, what I think they're doing to us, I think they're eating. To me, it's like eating our spirit. Or it's like some disease that has affected the living energy that is the earth, and there's this disease energy that has affected the living energy of the earth, and it passes on through human consciousness, and we pass it on. That's how it got there. But whatever it is, we're human beings, and we understand, or we know we live in a technologic perceptual reality where they can take the being part of the earth that's called uranium and put it through a mining refinement process and convert its being into a form of energy. They can take the fossils from the earth and they can put it through a mining refinement process and convert its being into a form of energy. Well, they take the technologic industrial civilizing process, mines the being part of human through how it programs the human to perceive reality through the use of the human intelligence. So it programs us how to perceive reality. See, and we're not taught to perceive reality as human beings. We're programmed to perceive reality by gender, race, nationality, and it gets layered and layered and layered. But see, we're not taught to perceive reality as human beings, and we're just not taught that. Because see, there's a. All right, now when you mine the uranium and the fossils out of the earth, and you convert its being into a form of energy, it leaves behind poison and toxic waste that are dangerous to the life environment. When you mine the being part of human through the intelligence of the human, it leaves behind poison and toxic waste. And that poison and toxic waste takes form, it manifests in the forms of the fears and the doubts and the insecurities that become a part of your perceptual reality. A devaluation of self, so to speak. That's the result of that toxic thing. All right, those poisons and those toxins. So there reaches a point when the human being doesn't think like a human being, but participates in this reality from the basis of their perception of their inabilities, their fears and their doubts and their insecurities. See, now power, to understand about the reality of the power of our intelligence, right? The reality of our power, the power of being. as manifested through how we've been either programmed or taught to perceive reality. Now, the power of being as manifested through how we've been programmed to perceive reality, programmed with the fears and the doubts and the insecurities. Have you ever felt powerless? And when you feel powerless, how bad can you make yourself feel with your fears, your doubts, and your insecurities? I mean, how bad can you make yourself feel when you're feeling at your most powerless? And then how does this affect the people around you? Reality is that is power. That is your power. See, this isn't an issue about powerlessness. It never has been an issue of powerlessness. Maybe an illusion it is created to get us to perceive ourselves that way, but the reality is, see, we are energy units. We're power units. We cannot help but be, as long as we're here in this form. See, it's just how that power, that energy, that spirit is used. So obviously, you know, if we can make ourselves feel miserable and affect the people around us, well, see, now here's individual power. Here's a manifestation of power through our creative intelligence individually and how it spreads. All right? We see that through the negatives. Well, but this is a sign of the power of our intelligence, our creative intelligence, being used incoherently and chaotically. So just try to think of what could be accomplished if we understood to use that power clearly and coherently. It would be, the power would still be power. Now, this is the power that we have as human beings. And you know, it's like we look to about spirituality. Now, I'm not, you know, don't misunderstand here. I'm not the expert on spirituality. Right? You know, the spirits are trying to deal with me yet, right? But I'll get there. But what I figure is, whatever the search is for spirituality, is I figure if we can't give the Creator, we need to thank the Creator every day. Every single day we need to thank the Creator for giving us life. See, I just think that's respectful, right? And the second thing I think we should thank the Creator for is giving us intelligence. You know, I mean, the sacreds, everybody's got their notions about the sacreds, but I'm going to nail it down to me to what I call the two sacred sacreds. The first sacred is life itself, breath, life. And for us as human beings, the second sacred is our intelligence, No matter what our spiritual quest is, no matter what quest we're on, if we don't understand the sacredness of our intelligence and use it as clearly and coherently and responsibly as we can, then we're wanting to show respect to the Creator, but we're not quite synchronizing it because of this misunderstanding. But we create our reality every day. Every day we use the creative power of our intelligence to create our reality. It's just, unfortunately, we're creating our reality with a lot of negative, bad things that have been imprinted into our consciousness. And see, to me, this is all done on purpose. No accident. They really are mining. In the cosmos of temptation's leanings, all that went down had many meanings. She saw some light hidden behind the dark. In rivers of loneliness, anger left its mark. Many of life's chapters written by wrongdoing men, gambling to win, her desperation not to lose again. A woman holds remnants of girl child's goals, wandering through dimensions of wandering souls. Much more pain than glory as her story unfolds. The reality is the illusion keeps playing roles. Late night sleeping dreams still coming back. A mind with the blues wearing mourning black. Baby doll's blues, a girl now all grown up. The golden chalice turns into a Teflon cup. Playhouse dreams devoured by living scenes. Everything something, with nothing as it seems. Gnawing pain, aching from long time hurt. Suppression memory, reflection self-worth. There's a noisy closet behind a locked door, filled with a past that can't take anymore. Searching for the key to let her run free, life beyond the image. See another reality. In love with a man so slow to learn. standing her ground, no more cheeks to turn. Cages were built by what's been done. This sister, a prisoner, living under the gun. Standing accused, she cries, that's not me. I'm a real person. Why won't you see? Needing the peace she's searching for, worn down from those days at war. With private truth she wants to tell, but she doesn't want to be put through hell. When she finds a love that can understand, she'll be free, having found a promised land. And in our reality as human beings, and we're made up of the metals and minerals and liquids of the earth, so we are all related, all my relations. So that means every human being is a descendant of a tribe. We are all descendants of tribes. And we have encoded in our DNA a genetic memory, and this genetic memory just kind of basically, let's say spiritually, carries the experience of the whole trip, right? From the collective to the individual. So within us, we have a collective ancient ancestral memory of being a human being, and in that memory, see, life, this was a spiritual reality, and we're just, remember, the human is temporary. This is about the reality of being. So this is a spiritual reality, and because it's spiritual reality, we're borrowing the present from the past, as well as from the future. So therefore, life was about responsibility. Life was about responsibility. And that's where we come from as human beings. See, now, life is about freedom. You know, and this is something, we need to think about this. I just think that we do, all right? Because now, we chase freedom. We don't think in terms of, we don't really think in terms of responsibility as human beings. You know, as layered identities, gender, race, class, all those things, we think in terms of that kind of thing. So in those terms, responsibility is you pay your taxes and you pay the rent, and you pay that credit card bill, right? And you do what God tells you to through the words of men. And to me, see, that's not really about taking responsibility. And I don't think that we can take responsibility until we truly understand the power of our intelligence. You know, it's like, in this reality that we're in, this mining process I'm talking about, I think we should believe less and think more. All right, we should believe less and think more. Because everything is about energy. Everything is about energy. This mining process, our spirit, our beings being turned into a form of energy to run a system. Everything is about energy. So for us, when, you know, thinking is energy flowing. This is about energy because it's moving. But to believing means the energy is, because every belief has walls. It only goes so far. This is what I believe, and that's what I believe. So we can't really think and believe simultaneously. See, we've been programmed to believe that believing is thinking, but it's not. All the self-doubts and all the ways we beat ourselves up, we're not thinking this stuff. This is stuff we believe. And believe was put there by someone else. See, so we need to make a distinction, all right, because we want power, we understand. See, we have it. It's just now we must learn how to understand it and to use it clearly and coherently. So and believing to me is like, no offense, but when I just hear I believe this, I believe that, in one way I'm just hearing someone say, I don't know this, I don't know that. You know, and I think, well, instead of saying I believe this, I believe that, wouldn't it be easier to just say either I know it or I don't, or I think? See, because I think is what we really want it to be. Because I think if we say I think that, if we think in terms of thinking more than believing, I think we will think more. And just, you know, I don't know, it's crazy stuff, right? But if we say I believe, then we're just, you know, it's like some kind of self-hypnosis. that's very subtly laid in there to mess with how we activate our thinking process. Because it's all layered in with all that. Sure, because if we don't like ourselves and we think we're all messed up, then of course we believe too much, right? And think not enough. And so we have to reach this understanding, see, that there's not anything wrong with us as human beings. Get over this original sin stuff. It's just, if you really think about it, that's insane. Really, that is insane. See, now you know why I want to be crazy. I want to be. You felt have you ever felt you were going crazy? And then you fought it, didn't you? Fools. No offense. Really, it might have been there to save you. This is serious stuff here, man. It's all in how we perceive reality. But we have no reason not to like ourselves because this original sin, guilty. I'm not guilty of anything. I'm not even guilty of the stuff I did. All right? But I'm responsible for every ripple I've ever made in this reality. See, that's reality to me. It's about being responsible. Guilty? We're not guilty. This isn't about that kind of thing. In the ancient collective ancestral memory, when we were born into this reality, it was like an exchange of gifts. It was life to life. And when we left, it was still, what's called that, but in a way we were just going back to the ancestors. So there's a sadness, but there's this understanding. See, so it was always about a giving and a gift. It's only when God took the male form, all right, that it became a sin. And it became a crime, a moral crime. If you really think about that, if you just put some coherent thought in it, see, this doesn't make very much sense. Committing a crime for being born, and therefore you have to be obedient to the male dominator chain of command. Because is that not what the result is? This doesn't, and because in the earth, see, in our collective tribal memory, see, the earth was the mother. And in the role of the society, the woman was looked upon, well, she represented the earth, really truly represented the earth because she brought life the same way the earth brought life. You see this happen. So the female part of life was recognized and respected as sacred because the earth was recognized as the mother, and then the females who brought life were recognized. So that was recognized as sacred. All right, and we didn't, and the spirit, there was a creator created it all. And any human worship that we did it to the ancestors. See, and then it kept everything a nice balance. Father Sky, Mother Earth. See, but then when this other thing, when religion appeared, and religion, there is a difference between there's a spiritual way of life and there's a religious way of life, and and this is reality. All right? But remember, I'm crazy. All right? But the spiritual way of life is based upon responsibility. Religious way of life is based upon obedience and subservience to the chain of command. As they attacked the tribes, the human beings throughout history to impose this male dominator, industrial, mining, religious tool upon the consciousness of the tribes, as they did this, they did it to all of the tribes. What they did to the Indians here, they did to the tribes of Europe. Maybe they did 1,000 years or 1,500 years before that. But so by the time the tribes of Europe got here, they didn't know they were human beings anymore. See, we know that the memory can be erased in a couple thousand years, just historically speaking. But they did this to all of us. All right? And when they did this, see, and in order to get us to submit to that, they had to attack the earth. So they had to attack, because the new God says the earth is, God created it, owns it, and now the people are supposed to subdue it and prosper for the new God or something like that. But it all became material and not spiritual. It went from spiritual, they said spiritual words and holy holies and stuff, but in reality it went from, all right? It went from spiritual to material. So religion, to me, all right, this religious perception that was imposed upon us, all right, has everything in the world to do with sexism. It has everything to do with sexism. It's because when they were attacking the original memory and the original understanding about the earth being the mother. Well, in order to attack the earth and prosper, all right, for this new God, then they had to create sexism, because otherwise they couldn't get them to go turn against the earth too. And we know that the human beings in Europe held out. We know that they held out through tremendous trauma. Because it started out, I don't know, the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, all this stuff, right? But the tribes were around, and then this civilization, as it's now it's shape-shifting into what it is, all right? It went after them. And so by the time of 1000 AD, the tribes of Europe, or the descendants of the tribes of Europe, really didn't know they were tribes anymore, but they still had a spiritual perception of reality. They still prayed to spirits, and the women were still, a lot of stuff still going on. But at that time, by then, the royalty and the landowners and stuff, they were well entrenched, and the church was well entrenched. So all of these human beings, the descendants of the tribes of Europe, they were property. They were somebody's property. By then they were property. They were no longer tribes. But they still prayed to spirits, all right? And in the church, now the church, as it's manifesting, because understand this, all the governments we have in the Western world now evolved out of the Roman Empire, which the Roman Empire shapeshifted into the Roman Catholic Church. And then through the Roman Catholic Church for the next 500 years, they decided what form of government was going to take place basically all over the world. All of this shit has come out of that. But during that period of time, all right, around 1000 AD, the descendants of the tribes of Europe are still praying to spirits and have this kind of a way, all right? And then so the church said that it was going to wage a war to possess the souls of the godless savages and the godless heathens. So it waged a war to possess the souls. So basically, all right, and they used what they called the Inquisition. And the Inquisition was just basically human slaughter for about 400 years. And they killed as efficiently and effectively as they possibly could, all right, with the technology they had at hand then, all right? And then, so at the end of this 400 years, the descendants of the tribes of Europe, number one, they had to love. The church was there to possess them. So they had to, in order to survive, they had to love what they feared. And it was there to possess them. So love, fear, and possession got all twisted up right there in the psyche of the Westerners then. And they've never unsorted it. They haven't. Not really. So by the time the descendants of the tribes of Europe got here, they did to us what had been done to them. But when they got here, we said to them, they asked who we were. We said, we're human beings, But it wasn't really about they thought they were in India. They didn't know where the hell they were. So it wasn't about where they really thought they were. The real issue is here, they didn't recognize what it meant to be a human being anymore. That's the real issue. Because their church debated it later to decide this stuff, so that meant they couldn't recognize what it meant to be a human being anymore. So anyway, for us, remembering who we are. So this is why I'm saying about believe, because everything that got imposed upon us, all right, every traumatic thing that ever happened to us, was somebody did it to make us believe something. So we should be careful about that. And the other thing we need to look at is judgment versus recognition. About this guilt, sin, and blame stuff. It's remember the sacredness of the intelligence. Our responsibility is to recognize reality, to recognize it, not judge it. Because like believing and thinking, all right, either we can recognize reality or we can judge it, but we can't really do both things. It's an either-or situation. Because the ability to recognize is like thinking. It means it's flowing, the energy's going. Judging is a box, right? And so you can't recognize and judge simultaneously. And for whatever it is that we want to accomplish within our own realities, these are things that's in our best interest to understand. Because, we got the bad guys to blame. And some ways the bad guys, the biggest danger to me about the bad guys that we have to blame is that it may be a backdoor for us to let ourselves off the hook. That's the thing that concerns me the most about it, because this way we can go through motions. We don't have to think real clear. We don't have to get real serious. We can just go through the motions of comfort and frustration and the things out of our fears and stuff, all right, and continue to go and do it the same old way it's always been done with no real thinking and input being put in. And then we can claim that we've done our best. But I don't think that we are doing our best. I mean, I think we're emotionally reacting to the situation that's going on around us, and when we're emotionally reacting, anytime we emotionally react, I don't think we put clear, coherent thought into what we're doing. Because everything's about energy, see, and I know the energy that we have collectively amongst us, all right, will more than suffice. It's just us finding a way to understand that is the best way for us to use it. Am I making sense? I don't need it for moral support. I just need to know if I'm making sense. But thank you for enabling. Oh, okay. All right, man. No, it's cool. Last rush in Babylon. Voices catching up. Voices catching up. Watch out, child. Watch out, child. Babylon falling down. Falling down. Society a broken promise. Economies war, citizen whores. Political pimps leaving us flat on our backs. Trading today, waiting for the promised land. Roles playing roles, covering every day's fear. Going off to work, having the job done on us. In the eyes of God, building the bomb. Loving thyself, hating thyself. In the illusion. Caligula laughs loudly through time. Twisting love to get at the sexes. Classes material consumed. Designer worlds create electric impulses, turning down life, the real goodbye. See it in our face, see it every place. The great lie licks its lips. Narcotic concepts suffocate the individual. War maker and the peace pretenders in the trance of the vicious circle. Nonviolence feeds from the fruits of violence. The great lie licks its lips. Last rush in Babylon. Voices catching up. Voices catching up. Watch out, child. Watch out, child. Babylon falling down. Falling down. And so everything being about energy, it's like sometimes if we just use, see, we're all energy, all of us. Every one of us, we're a little unit of energy. And if you could look at the land base that is called North America, just stick to America, say North America, and you viewed it, and you could view us as energy, see, we would all represent light. Let's just look at it this way. So just imagine all the human beings here, all right, represent light as energy, that spirit, that being, right? But when you look at this large energy field of light, right, there's an imbalance of the light. See, there's a part of this light, it's a small part of this light, but it's burning excessively bright. See, and the larger part of the light is dimming, right? So this excessively bright light is burning at the expense of the larger mass. That's why it's dimming. But in the dimming light, there are still all these sparks. All right? And there are all these sparks of light, see, and these sparks of light that want to ignite. All right? That's us. That's the way that I see it. That's us. We are the sparks of light that want to ignite. Because this other process is taking place. Everything is about energy. Everything. It truly is. And if we understand that, or find some understanding about it, so that we can find a way to use it beneficially to our own individual, therefore collective good. Now, because when I look at what's going on in this political situation that we're in now, they're all lying. I mean, you know this, right? They are. All of them are lying. I mean, they just are. You know, they can't help it. They really can't. You know, and they can't help it because they know in our own way we want to believe them, and we can't help it. You know? I mean, no offense to anyone, but you know, I mean, and when I look at it, because like I'm a non-voter, right? I'm a member of the largest political party in America. Right? Right? It means something to me. Finally, a part of a majority. But when I look at this thing about voting, all right, I look at, because I was saying about having the convenience of bad guys to blame. You know, but when I look at the voters of America, and I don't mean any offense to anybody or anything, but you know, I don't think they take it, I don't understand it. If it's such a big right to them, if it means all these goodies to them, then how come they don't take it seriously and use it seriously? How come they'll just settle for a promise? All right? Or how come they'll vote against somebody they hate? Or they'll vote just specifically because of gender or specifically because of race? And how come they know, and I know, see, I know, this is something I hang on to. I know that we have to know that they're lying. I know we have to. You know, I mean, whatever we rationalize and this and that, but I know we have to know that they're lying. And if we don't, what does it take? You know, I mean, really, what does it take? If we don't know they're lying, then anybody that does not know they're lying, I mean, we can rationalize, but I mean, cut to the heart of it. Anybody that does not know they're lying is a Stepford. All right? So, let's do our own little test. Am I or am I not? See, but so having them to blame. See, it seems to me for us, the people that want to participate, if we would just take and use our intelligence more coherently and clearly and start to put some real thinking into this, see, we can create change. Because a lot of this other exists, these other situations exist because we've been kind of traumatized, all right, into not understanding the value of our own intelligence, and I'm saying it's time to get over it. All right? Because this is about evolutionary survival. What is it? What is it? Something, necessity is the mother of all invention? Well, this is about evolutionary, because see, the Creator, whatever Creator gives us human beings intelligence. See, and it's such a powerful, such a sacred and a powerful thing for us. Because the thing that rides with the intelligence thing, the other part that goes with the trip, see, is if we use it clearly and coherently, because we generate energy, and if the energy we generate becomes diseased, and it becomes diseased and life-threatening to the life environment, then we must perish. Right? See, so if we use our intelligence as clearly and coherently as we can, then the longer we do that, the longer we as human beings stay in the evolutionary reality. But if there ever reaches a point when that individual collective light intelligence I'm talking about becomes so, it's all chaotic and incoherent, affecting the balance, then it will be evolved out. See, so it's us, you know, so we influence the future. We influence it no matter what we do, because we all bring intelligence to the thing. Right? And about this, I want to, and whatever this stuff is, because I think every one of us carries a piece of it, about feeling bad about ourselves and not recognizing, I'll call it devaluing ourselves. Well, I figure every messed up thing that ever happened to any of us, number one, see, I think as human beings, and as like you look at the little kids and stuff, right? See, I think that we really get it more as kids, because the realities are much more reality. Right? And then, so I think we can wander, we get to wander, see, but then I think it's trauma that locks us in. See, and then we can't wander the same way anymore, all right, with our intelligence. So we all had trauma. See, so it seems to be a part of the civilizing process. See, we all get nailed with a trauma somewhere. And sometimes the trauma is an act of God. And sometimes the trauma is just plain old man-made and initiated. All right? And usually, most of the times, that's what it is. But the way the system works, because we've been programmed, there's something wrong with us because we were born in, right? Those things. When the trauma happens, we blame ourselves for the trauma. And depending on what the trauma is, we blame ourselves for it. And if the trauma continues to happen, well, we continue to blame ourselves. And then whatever the trauma may be, we're going to have an energy, a reaction. So we're going to start reacting to the trauma, all right? And we will develop behavior patterns of reaction to whatever the trauma was. See, and everything collectively builds and builds and builds and builds. See, again, against us. This is the power of our intelligence and our imagination. We've been programmed to perceive reality, to use our intelligence, the power of our intelligence in that kind of a way against ourselves. All right? Because this is what's based upon, this is the reality based upon believing and judging. If we take and understand to recognize, now let's go back to the trauma ride. Let's go back. If we go back and we look to take the time to recognize every trauma that we ever had, we didn't ask for it. All right? We never asked for it. That's significant. Right? If we didn't ask for it and it happened to us, and then whatever reaction it created after that is a result of the original thing that we didn't ask for. And if we had enough clarity to understand that this is what happened, it doesn't devalue me, all right? It doesn't devalue me, because life is this. We enter into it, life is a continuum of experiences, one experience after the other. All right? But the whole trip about this continuum of experiences, we're supposed to learn from the experiences. We're supposed to learn from the experiences, because this will affect how the future experiences that we have. And if we don't learn from the experiences, then what we do is we create those same experiences, just in maybe different forms with different names, all right? But we create those same experiences in the future. See, so it's all about how we perceive. Because there's not anything wrong with us. See how I handle it? See how I handled it? I just created the me's. Right? I call them the more me's. Read a poem about them. No, the more me's. They're all in here. That's how we dealt with it. But it's good, right? I think Western civilization is wrong. See, I don't trust anyone with just one personality. And I don't. No offense, but I don't. And I'm not going to. It's the ones that are trying to just have one personality that scare me. Whatever's going on in this reality, when I really think about it, and as everything is spreading and intensifying, you know, America's about ready to take a serious economic hit. I mean, this is just a taste. I mean, I know on TV they're lying about maybe there's going to be a recession when the recession's already happening, right? But there are other things going to happen here. You know, and there's going to be a lot of frustration and a lot of reactionaryism, and there's going to be more implementation of the Patriot Act, all right, of the Super Patriot Act. There's going to be less and less civil liberties and less rights. There's going to be a reaction to the economic crisis that's coming. They're going to put the Democrats in the White House so the Democrats can take the hate. For what they did, I'm telling you, all right? And they Manchurianed Obama, all right, because Hillary, they don't like Hillary, and Hillary's was all stored up for it, so they Manchurianed Obama, all right, and they put and Obama doesn't know this, but they Manchurianed him and put him out there, see, so they can create division within the Democratic Party, then hand over the Democratic Party, and then when the economic hit takes, use the Democrat to implement more of the Super Patriot Act stuff. You'll see. But remember, I'm a crazy man, so if it don't happen, I was just crazy. But if you're sitting in a room somewhere on your way to an internment camp, then, well, he was crazy, but he was right. I'm poor, can't afford a therapist, and you're it, right? You gotta let it out, man, because if you don't, you don't know where it'll take you. I took that ride. So anyway, what I'm getting at, see, things are going to get a little rough. But we have the intelligence and the ability to deal with it. And we really need to start thinking about that now. Because, you know, to me, they're that predator, but that industrial ruling class. There are things coming, but everything's in place, see, and they're expecting, the only thing that they're not expecting is for the citizens to respond with clear, thought-out plans. What they're expecting, and what will happen, is people are going to start emotionally reacting, and then the state will use that as justification. Right? See, it's time, you know, because, you know, it's really, because the real issue about what we're going to do, to me, Gandhi was part right with nonviolent civil disobedience. He was headed in the direction. All right? But I think it's about non-cooperation. All right? I think it's about non-cooperation. And I understand that we have to do our civil disobedience. We have to do whatever it is we have to do. I understand it. I'm not quarreling with it. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. I'm just saying, but the real key here is about non-cooperation. Because when you go to demonstrate, all right, when you go to demonstrate, if you do it with violence, violent civil disobedience, the state war games, and they get to use their clubs, and they get to do all this stuff and drag you off, and it's like a war game. See, so they get a lot out of it. All right? Oh, and if it's a nonviolent, peaceful one, well, they still get to play their war games, right? And you buy magic markers and cardboard and make the signs and demonstrate. So they turn it into a little profitable thing, and everybody behaves, and they get to take the picture of everybody that comes. You know, no matter how peaceful you are, they get to start identifying you, and you'd be surprised how many of you that go to demonstrations, all right, have been identified. You see all this stuff going on. See, so it becomes an issue. We need to think in terms of non-cooperation. Now, everything they ever do to us is to feed off of our energy. So it's a matter of trying to figure out, use our intelligence in ways where we don't give them the energy that they want when they want it. Now, I don't know who this makes sense to, right? But to me, it's like think for ourselves. To think for ourselves and think the stuff out clearly and coherently. Because whatever it is we've got to do, I'm telling you, I mentioned this earlier, but about I don't know if you've ever had the experience of emotionally unloading on someone and then later thinking, well, I wish I'd have said this, or I wish I'd have said that, because what the emotional unloading wasn't really what was felt. It was just an emotional unloading, and what really needed to be expressed didn't really get expressed. See, well, that's how we're participating in this reality. Reactionary. Emotional reactionaryism based upon what we've been programmed, how we've been programmed to believe. So what we're asking here is, so what we're asking for help on this prioritizing health care insurance for the women and children of America. And if anybody here, if any of you, would agree to do the tens, right? And if you have the ability and the will to do more than that, that's what we want. We encourage it. We ask if anyone has access to the veterans. We ask that the veterans, to talk to the veterans groups, their organizations. It isn't about whether you're for or against the war, but to the veterans, because to the veteran class, this is America's warrior class. And if in any culture, the warrior class always looks out for the women and children. See, so, to make real outreach and talk to real people about it, because we can have an influence in what goes on. And I'll lay it like this. So anybody that agrees with what I'm saying here about prioritizing, if you agree with it, then you have a responsibility to act on it. How's that? Because you agree. Right? And I think if we take the best that we have, because, I'm telling you this right now, don't surrender. Why give up? Every day, thank the Creator for life, and then find a way to live it. Because the part of the thing is we spend, the fine lines. Sometimes maybe it just, you take enough time to remember that you're alive every day. So that's why you give thanks for life, because too many people now are just stuck at existing and surviving. You know, and we do, and so what we do makes a difference. If we continue the same old behavior patterns, then that's the difference we make. And I'm going to close this up, but you know, I came through the 60s. And I remember our idealism. We were young. We were the majority. I remember our idealism. You know, our idealism was good. Our motives were good. Our intentions were good, you know, but our understanding was not quite what it should have been. That's what happened. All right? All right? But we had all this good stuff going for us. And we did it the way you always do it. You protest, you organize, you do whatever, you know. And the same way our parent generation did it when they participated. They did it the way you always do it. But see, but the reason I'm bringing this up as a question here, or as something, all right, is that because obviously something has to change, because we've gone through the motion of going somewhere, but we didn't really go anywhere. Whatever token rights and concessions they made, they took back later. So something didn't change. So as we're dealing with whatever it is that's coming at us in the future, and whatever's coming at us in the future has been here before. They recite, see, it's just a repetition. Their history's a repetition. So they're not going to do anything they haven't done before. It's just that the technology is different. All right? But they're not going to do anything they haven't done before, because they operate in a behavior pattern. There's a behavior pattern to how the oppressor class operates. And if we took the time to understand about patterns and our own behavior patterns and really looked at, people are serious about change, want to put some serious stuff in, look at the behavior pattern, all right, of the oppressor class, because there is the way to find ways to think our way through it. This here will never outfight them. Take that out of your mind. Take that out of your mind. You cannot outfight them without becoming them. Just simple reality. They're the bad guys. And if you have to outfight them, then you got to be badder than them, don't you? That's reality. And it can't be undone. So this is about thinking. All right? Our power. The real power of the human being is in our thinking. And that's what this is all about. And we're asking you to help use the power of thinking and action to help us to raise this voice. Because everyone that's here for ovarian cancer, because they relate to what we're saying about that, or any of the other, you know, I mean, because with the ovarian cancer, you know, in America, as long as America's been America, they've been before Iraq. If you add all the wars of America up, it comes to about 50 years of war. And in that approximately 50 years of war, I think it's 1,200,000 soldiers, people were killed. This doesn't count the Indians. Those don't count. That war doesn't count. All right? Just the other wars. All right? But in the 50 years between 1957 and 2007, from ovarian and other gynecological cancers, the same number of women died. But when they fought those other wars, you know, they put heavy economics into that, into buying bullets to arm their soldiers and whatever, you know. But in this other one, they put minimal. See, and that's what really opened our eyes. See, and we're just talking about the ovarian and gynecological cancers. We're not really including all the other illnesses that affect. So we figured the best way we could get somewhere is if we could find a way to get more people, you know, be inclusive of more people with this. And that's just straight where we're coming from. So any way you could help, it would be greatly appreciated. You know, and because we know that this could be done. And I don't want to lay anything on you. So if whatever, you know, if I'm getting too pushy, you know, deal with it. And just do what I said, okay? Damn. I'm going to close with a poem, and then we'll see. I should find a happy poem, right? Something nice, or you want? I don't know if I have any. Oh yeah, hey, this is a book of all my lyrics. So I think it's like 10 or 11 albums worth of lyrics. And it'll be out. All right, Fulcrum. Somebody? Fulcrum Books. I knew it was Fulcrum, but I didn't know what goes with it. So anyway, I just pass that on to you. So anyway, whatever I said that made sense to you, I'm glad that it did. And if it didn't make sense to you, I don't want to hear it. and if it didn't make sense to you, you shouldn't dwell on it either anyway, right? Just we all move on. Okay, this is called See the Woman. She has a young face, an old face. She carries herself well in all ages. She survives all man has done. In some tribes, she is free. In some religions, she is under man. In some societies, she is worth what she consumes. In some nations, she has delicate strength. In some states, she is told she is weak. In some classes, she is property owned. In all instances, she is sister to earth. In all conditions, she is life bringer. In all life, she is our necessity. See the woman eyes, flowers swaying on scattered hills, sun dancing, calling in the bees. See the woman heart, lavender butterflies, fronting blue sky, misty rain falling on soft wild roses. See the woman beauty, lightning streaking dark summer nights, forest of pines mating with new winter snow. See the woman spirit, daily serving courage with laughter, her breath a dream and a prayer. So I thank you for taking the time to come here tonight, and thank everyone for, the people that put this together and got me here. And I just trust we'll see each other again somewhere along the way, right? We're all headed the same direction, yes? Peace.